Hello everybody and welcome to the final third, and today we've got a little bit of a special video. Since there haven't been any Premier League games played as of late, we won't be discussing any games, obviously. We'll be doing our predictions at the end of the video, but in the video itself, we'll be discussing situations of certain clubs and how they have handled the situation with their managers, just as a whole, you know what I mean? And some clubs, underperforming a lot. I mean, just to give you an example of some of the clubs we'll be talking about, it'll be Man United, like Chelsea. Obviously, they sacked their managers because they sort of come up against the ownership. West Ham, obviously, in the relegation zone, and it's not looking very good for them. And the ownership isn't investing correctly in the club. And then you have the likes of Spurs as well, who are in a bad situation as a club as a whole. But before we get into the video, Al, can you reveal the player from the last one?
Yes, the player from the last video was Jermaine Genos. Yeah, so let us know if you got that in the comments below, and we'll do the new quiz at the end of the video.
Perfect. Should we just jump straight into it?
Yeah.
I mean, we can discuss multiple different clubs. I mean, since I'm a United fan,
yeah, okay.
I say we start with Man United because
that's fair. I think
Man United are
situation as well. So
Man United are the biggest talking point. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, good or bad, they're always the team in England that are talked about the most, and I think everyone can say that, right? So when anything good happens, it's blown over proportion from United fans. If anything bad happens, it's blown over proportion from United fans. But in this situation, it's nothing really to do with the United fans because Ruben Amorim gets sacked because of what he says against the board. They say it's because of results, but that's not true. They said they were going to back him till the end of the season, no matter what the results were, right? I don't really know what to say. Like, I don't know what you think about it. It's not, it's not the right. I feel like it's not the right decision. They sacked Ten Hag as well.
Yeah.
Which even me and Ali at the time, when they sacked Ten Hag, we said it was the wrong decision. They need to back him because he had, it wasn't good under Ten Hag, let's be honest, and it was bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Who was we supposed to do?
With Ten Hag, it wasn't. It was more like that was more understandable because maybe the results.
Yeah, that's definitely more understandable. Yeah,
I don't believe it. First of all, it was entirely his fault, and secondly, I also pretty much predicted that Ruben Amorim would get sacked pretty quickly. If Carlos can back me on that, I did say it. I said it would be the same cycle because, and a lot of United fans know this. I don't have to say it. Carlos doesn't even have to say it. But the smart ones, or at least the level-headed fans, understand that it's down to the ownership. This is a problem at quite a few clubs at the moment. That have led to maybe the situation they're in. Obviously, not just United. Obviously, Chelsea. Again, there's a lot of clubs that we're going to talk about today in this video. But, because we just started with United, we'll talk about them. But, like Callis says, obviously, he got sacked for talking out against the board. I think he was always going to get sacked. Like, whether the results were good or bad, if you talk out against the board, you're not going to survive. Yeah, because, unfortunately, the board... I think they feel like they have to take action when when their position, when their authority has been kind of threatened in a sense, because they've been exposed for what they've done wrong, and of course they were always going to sack him. If you trash shit about your manager at work, he's most likely going to sack you. You know what I mean? So that's clearly what's happened. He was always going to get sacked for it. Maresca also got sacked for the same reason, and realistically, he was kind of doing better than Amorim. But even both of these managers, I want to talk about with the ownership, where I think, the biggest problem they've had helping the managers is to do with the backing. Like, of course, we know United. Yes, they spent like 200 mil in the summer or something like that on their players that they signed. However, the recruitment, in my opinion, is just nowhere near good enough. Because, it's good and all you're signing these big, look, these aren't like world superstars like they used to do before with like the Zlatans and the Pogbas and these kind of names. But even I'd say Cunha and Mbeumo, they were realistically like the next big thing coming in the Premier League. So they were all, again, I don't like, because they said when they came in, they were going to, go down a different route, not sign players with such high prices and high wages, yet they have completely done it again. The summer they did again. 3 players, high price.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
From Mbeumo, when I'm telling you now, other clubs would sign him for 55 mil if they went for him.
That's
It's
do you know what it is?
only
That's just United
United.
tax. I feel like when
You could say
any
that, but like
player,
my point
yeah,
is, they
I'm
haven't
not gonna
gone.
back the club on this, right?
Yeah,
And I hate the ownership and I hate the structure of it. I hate the CEO. I hate the director of football. They've done a shambles. Ineos have been here for just over a year, and we've regressed, if anything.
yeah,
Obviously, we've finished in the bottom half of the table. We've been knocked out of both cups. We're gonna play our lowest amount of games in a season since the First World War,
mm,
because of the First World War. Do you know
yeah,
how sad that is? Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I
Like,
mean,
it's the fall off is crazy. Obviously, we didn't have Europe to begin with, and when the ownership don't invest in the correct positions, right? I feel like what we could have done, yeah, instead of, even at the time, it's like Hoyland wasn't very good, but maybe if you had kept Hoyland, not invested in the money in Sesko and bought, I don't know, Baliba or
yeah,
Adam Watson.
exactly.
To be fair, Elliot Anderson at the time wasn't really, on
Could
the
you
radar
could
of
you
many
could
teams.
you even argue, because we talked about this towards the start of the season and kind of even before this season started a little, about the fact that you signed both Cunha and Mbuemo, and you remember Hassan even mentioning the fact, like, I remember at one point, I can't remember if he was saying Mbuemo shouldn't have been signed or if it was Cunha, but basically the fact that they
I think it's
both
in Bruno.
play, yeah, that they're playing a similar position. And like, for example, they wanted them for the cam position because of the way Amarin was playing his style of football, right? However, you had a player like Bruno Fernandes who then had to retreat back to the number eight position, which is not his position, where he's an actual cam. So do you reckon maybe they made a mistake with that, where they could have signed just one of them, saved a lot of money, carried on playing Bruno Fernandes in the cam, and invested in a midfield and a
Hundred
proper number
percent,
eight?
100%.
So yeah, I'm just asking you: do you think they should have just gone for one instead of both?
I 100% think that's, yeah. They should have only gone for one, and they should have invested in midfielder. We needed a
Hmm.
midfielder in the summer. Kobe Mainu. Yeah, he wasn't really playing under Ruben Am even last season. Obviously,
Yeah,
this
to be
season he
fair.
played his last start before he started in the cup game was the previous cup game, which we got knocked out against Grimsby. Do you know what I mean? Which is mental to think about.
Didn't even. Yeah, no, he did start.
Ugate's on and off.
Yeah.
He's unlucky. Ugate's a player that I think we can mention in another video anyway. But I feel like him, when he gets, I said it in a previous video, he's a confidence player. If he gets confidence, plays a set of games, he will start to improve.
Hmm.
All these players, they're professional footballers. They've made it to the highest level. You got to play them enough for them to build confidence, especially at a club like Man United. If you
Yeah.
make a mistake, you'll get scrutinized.
Yeah.
So you need to sort of play through form sometimes, depending on the situation. I mean, there's likes of Diogo Dalot who's just like playing through terrible form throughout the whole season. But
Yeah.
you know, that's what I'm saying. We need midfielder, and we didn't invest in that. We were very interested in Baliba, as everybody knows, at the end of the summer. But obviously, Brighton weren't willing to sell. It
Hmm.
seems like they're not even willing to sell this summer. So I don't know who we're going to really invest in. We do need to invest in somebody, though.
Yeah, I think recruitment has been a big, problem for a lot of these clubs that we're mentioning in this video. So, like, I think recruitment has genuinely been probably the biggest problem for all these clubs. So, like, United, Chelsea, um, in recent times, especially
Yeah,
Tottenham, you could argue, and even West Ham, especially as well. For example, Chelsea. Now, we talked many times of how, in their transfer window, they did have a decent transfer window. However, they just spent all the money on the attack. So, like, at the time, we thought, it's not too bad. But then after, the season started and we realised where the problems really lied and the fact that they never really invested in, centre-backs. Yes, you could say the defence, the full-backs are fine, but the centre-backs, especially in the goalkeeper,
poor.
it's poor. I mean, even after
They
today
signed two
in the cup,
strikers, more than one winger. I believe well, they
bro,
signed at least two
look, the
wingers. They
fact
did
that
they
they
sign a
signed
midfield?
Garnacho, after having signed that many wingers, when they got a problem clearly in defence with the centre backs,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
in terms of experience, we've said that so many times, right? Even when the season started, before the season, and the goalkeeper. I want to talk about the goalkeeper because we're recording this on the Wednesday when Arsenal have just finished playing Chelsea, finished 3-2. Robert Sanchez, I think he's at fault for definitely one of the goals. The first, sorry, the second goal, because how he's let
Gyökeres's
that
goal.
go through, yeah, it's awful. But even the first goal, the corner, the way he's come out to try and punch it, he's completely like missed it. And yeah,
Lack of
even
confidence.
that's
Yeah,
really poor. You know what I'm saying?
lack of
Especially for
conviction actually.
yeah, and like he's tall, right? So it's like no excuse really. You know what I mean? He should be getting to something like that.
Yeah.
However, yeah, he's had like look. To be fair, this season he's probably been a bit better than he usually has. but he's still not good enough. If Chelsea really want to go on and you know, compete for the title or any really strong, for trophies as well, they need a better centre backs and a better goalkeeper for sure. But again, this is all down to recruitment. This has been a problem at West Ham. I mean, we're literally looking. I think this season is the best example of how poor recruitment can really, make a team suffer big time. Because sometimes you can get away with it. Because if the current team is still good enough, you can get away with a bit of a poor transfer window, a bit of poor recruitment. However, when you look at West Ham, the reason we're probably in the position we are now is all down to the recruitment of this season. First, let's bring it back to the start of the season with it. Obviously, they were prioritizing before the season started. They were for some reason prioritizing a goalkeeper when it was quite clear that we had no legs in midfield. They then waited until it was probably too late, or towards the deadline day, to sign the midfielders that we required.
Threw away loads of games at the beginning.
Yeah, like you say, threw away a lot of games that we could have easily won had we had the midfielders that we have now. Not only that, you shot the confidence of a lot of players that were already there, and even some of the players that came in. What else can I say? They only, and the thing is, they only did it because they saw the amount of scrutiny and backlash they were getting from the fans, not because they care about the club, not because they knew it was the right thing. Well. You can argue the performances, but I genuinely think it was due to the absolute backlash. Yes, of course, the performance is definitely a factor. But why have they waited to do it so late? I mean, even in January now, they're scrambling to make signings to somehow salvage something. But it feels more like they're preparing for the championship. So that's another, thing when it comes to recruitment. Now, you got a team like Wolves as well. I know we didn't say we were going to mention them, but I think it's a good time to mention them because obviously, the start of the season they had is probably one of the worst starts of the season any team's ever had in the Premier League, right? They had 2 points up to Christmas, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's just awful. And I've seen so many videos from Wolves fans just talking about the ownership and how they've led them to this position here. So yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, it's just awful. It's awful, man. It's sad to see for a club like Wolves, who were previously in Europe before. So, yeah, I mean, it's just sad, isn't it?
100%. With a club like Wolves, they had so many good players. They actually had a sort of defined, not style of play, not really. They had a defined sort of scouting list. It was Portuguese players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Portugal.
I mean, yeah, under Nuno.
And all Portuguese players are very, very good. You know, I mean, well, the ones they signed at least. Like the likes of, rest in peace, Diogo Jota, Ruben Neves, João Moutinho,
Pedro Neto, Vitinho.
Even Pedro Neto when they had him.
Vitinho.
I mean, Mateus Cunha. I mean, I know he's not Portuguese, but Vitinho, obviously they had him, but he wasn't good for them.
Of course not.
He was there, yeah.
Like, a lot of these players, you know what I'm saying? You've gone and see what he's done now. It's just crazy.
Max Kilman, some of these, come on, bro. Craig
Don't
Dawson.
Ever talk about Max Kilman. Craig Dawson. What a man. But I'm pretty sure anyway, it doesn't matter. But still. But the way the ownership's taken that club is very sad because, yeah, look, to be fair, they started to find a bit of form recently. Whether that'll be enough for them, very highly doubt it, because obviously they're going to have to do probably the greatest, one of the greatest escapes ever if they want to survive. But
14 points.
I mean, it just shows because I've seen fans talk about the stadium as well, which is something I will talk about, not just for Wolves but West Ham. But for example, for Wolves, they were promised a new stadium or at least a renovation. However, all they got given was a paint job that didn't even get finished, which is an absolute disgrace. And then you obviously got West Ham, who obviously got moved out of Upton Park into this soulless stadium, which is really hard to create an atmosphere. Look, there's been times where I'll admit we have probably created a bit of an atmosphere when we were in Europe, and that's thanks to, let's be fair, Moyes. And that's something I do want to quickly just mention, because a lot of people don't, they keep coming back to this thing that was it, you get what you wish for, with the fact that some of the fans hounded Moyes out of the club. What you got to understand is, realistically, it wouldn't have got any better if we kept Moyes. He would have eventually had to go, because he only got 4 wins out of his last 20, so it weren't looking great for him. There needed to be change. However, Now, this is a great example. The fact that they signed Lopetegui as his replacement was the wrong decision. And again, that is down to the ownership. So, yeah.
Yeah. You can say that 100%. I feel like the main problem is you've had good managers come in, you have, and I feel like even since that, Graham Potter is a good manager, Nuno is a good manager, even Lopetegui, he's a good manager, I would say. Um, the thing is, when you don't back them correctly, as we've seen with the different clubs like Chelsea, Man United, Spurs, who've actually had similar managers to West Ham, in terms of like Nuno and that, where
Yeah,
Nuno
they
was
have, yeah, to be fair.
awful. He was like, I think he won manager of the month in the first month, and then he like bottled
Got
it
sacked,
completely
pretty much,
afterward or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, you know, like we say, you don't back the manager with the style of players he wants, you won't succeed. The manager won't succeed if you don't give him time. Now, a club I do want to talk about that followed the right example, actually two. Liverpool, obviously we saw what they did with Klopp and how they backed him and how they gave him the players, took time, but it worked, made title winning teams, you know. And like to be fair, they're even doing it now with Slot. He had that terrible run of games where other clubs such as Chelsea would have sacked him straight on. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But the other club I wanted to mention is Arsenal. Now we take the piss out of Arsenal. We say that they're a banter club. Do you know what I mean? Like just all of that stuff. But they've backed Arteta. They've given him the players he's needed, and they've helped him build his system. Now, okay, they haven't won a trophy, but you can see from where he started, where Arsenal were. Don't forget how bad
Mm.
Arsenal were. They
100%.
literally were known for being the meme club in the league
There,
before
yeah.
Man United, right? They
Agreed.
were known for that, and now they've gone to being, well, technically the best team in the league because they're top of the league right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all credit to Arteta and even the ownership and the board for backing him and keeping him, even when it looked like it wasn't going to succeed. So
Yeah.
that I give credit to the board of Arsenal, and I feel like Man United, Chelsea, West Ham, and Tottenham should take notes.
Yeah, I love what you say there. I want to give one more club actually credit for similar thing that you're talking about, Villa with Unai Emery.
Yeah,
The way
yeah,
they've
yeah.
backed that man.
Agreed.
This is something that's different. A lot of managers that come in don't. They're not coming in as managers. They're coming in as head coaches. This is something that we got to talk about because a head
Mm.
coach and a manager is completely two complete different roles. I think Kaz can agree with me on this. I think
Yeah,
Ruben Amorim and Maresca came in as head coaches. But you could see when they were talking about the ownership, like when they got sacked, obviously out off after the press conferences, you could tell they wanted to manage the club, but they weren't given that kind of
yeah. I
reign.
mean, Amram literally said that. He said I came in as a manager, but I'm seen as the head
He's
coach.
exactly. This is a big problem. You look at Unai Emery and Aston Villa are a great example of what letting the manager manage the club does for you. He runs everything from top to bottom at that club. It's quite obvious, right? When it comes to the signings that come in and everything else that goes through it, right? He pretty much he's a manager for that club. Whereas a lot of the players that are the managers that have come in, even like you see Nuno, he's a head coach. He's not a manager. He's not managing the club. He's not really getting in all the signings he probably wants, if I'm being honest, right? When they come in, but this is the perfect example of what clubs should be doing, letting these managers come in and really control the club a little. Obviously, I can understand like there's certain things they can't be in involved with or be what's the word I'm trying to think of like they can't have the reins over it. You get what I'm saying? There's certain things, right? Like
Yeah,
obviously, like I can understand when it comes to signings. Now it can't always just be what they want and this and that. Sometimes you got to have a bit of the sporting director's knowledge and his what he knows to like make it work, right? But again, like I say, Unai Emery is just a perfect example of what clubs should be doing when they sign these managers. Making sure they have so much control over these things. And yeah, and like I look at the success, the process they've gone through. Yeah, even at the start of the season, it didn't look great. They stuck with him, And look what they're doing now. They're fighting, realistically, they are fighting for the title. Whether they're favourites or anything like that, of course not. Obviously, Arsenal are the favourites, but, they're behind them. But, yeah, no, the way they've progressed every year since Unai Emery comes in just shows what ownership should be doing. Even another club, Brentford, is a good one. Now,
Yeah.
whether I'm not too sure how it works there with the manager. Does he manage the club in a similar way where he has a say? I think with them, it's more about their recruitment is like perfect for the club. It's absolutely perfect. The way they scout players. I mean, they got Mbuemo when he was like what 19, and now look at him. They managed to sell him off at 75 mil, right? Obviously, they have Ivan Toney before that. They got Wissa. All these players. Every time they're just churning them in and out, just churning them in and selling them off for like so much more. Brighton, obviously, another good club as an example for good recruitment. And yeah, so I think these are great examples of what good recruitment and what good ownership, can do for you. But yeah, I just want to mention them real quick.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you can mention Manchester City. You can mention a lot of the teams that are at the top. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, Man City. They've been doing it for years. They've won Premier Leagues back to back to back to back. So yeah, we obviously know how good Man City are. Um, Another thing I do want to mention with obviously the appointments that Manchester United and Chelsea have made, there is no long termism to these appointments.
absolutely
They're
not.
almost there just to. Obviously, Man United is an interim manager till the end of the season, so
Yeah, we know
technically
that. Yeah,
it's just a short term thing. But with Chelsea, I see their manager as a short term fix as well. I'll be honest, I don't
yeah,
think there is a long term future with him because he may be a good coach. He may be, doing well for Strasbourg, but you need more experience before you reach one of these big clubs, if that makes sense.
100%.
A lot of managers come into these jobs head on, like Ruben Amorim,
Yeah,
like let's say Ten Hag as well, who only managed at Ajax really
but did really well.
to a high level.
Yeah,
And obviously, yeah, it did very well with Ajax, and so did Ruben Amorim. I mean, Ruben Amorim switched Sporting around, made them from European contenders to literal title winners back to back, and created a great squad. These managers, they're good, but they have, and I kind of understand when the Man United ownership talk about Premier League experience and needing to understand the league as a whole and how physical it is and what kind of players you need to buy, right? But the problem is, yeah, whatever manager that those two clubs get, they won't back them correctly because the owners themselves, they make the signings. It's not.
yeah.
It doesn't include the managers. This is what I feel, right. Feel like, to
It's
be
the
honest.
same. I'd say
And
it's
I
the same at
noticed.
West Ham as well.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels like the ownership at the moment is making all the signings, or at
Exactly. They
least,
don't think about what the
yeah,
actual maybe the manager needs slash what the squad needs. There was obviously in the summer, Man United wanted to sell Bruno Fernandes, and it was the club that wanted that. But Ruben Amorim was the man who literally pushed to keep him in, and even Bruno Fernandes came in an interview and said he felt like he was being pushed out. Now, me at the time, I actually not agreed with it, but I felt like if you could cash in on Bruno, which is crazy to think about now. Obviously, he's brilliant. He's our best player by far. Without Bruno Fernandes, we are nothing. Let's be honest. I
agree.
think would have been a poor long ago. Anyway, I said let's cash in on him because I feel like we needed a midfielder for Ruben Amorim's system, and you bought two attacking midfielders, and you've moved Bruno Fernandes back, and you can't do that, to be honest with you, if you want the best out of Bruno Fernandes, who is 100%, no doubt in my mind, the best attacking midfielder in the league. He may even be one of the, could even be the best in the world. I don't even know. He might be, attacking midfielder. I can't think of many better. I mean, you
Well,
got
it's
Vitinha
obviously
and
hard to
like
think right now.
Pedri, who are, you know, not attacking. I mean, they are attacking, but not really. They're more complete. Does that make sense?
I get what you're
But
saying. Yeah.
purely attacking, creating chances, scoring goals, set pieces, everything in an attacking sense. And bro, some of the passes Bruno Fernandes makes, some of the chances
Yeah.
he makes something out of nothing. And that's what Bruno Fernandes is. He's magic.
Yeah.
And the fact you wanted to let him go and push him out, the amount the club did, is a disgrace.
To be
because you
fair,
didn't invest in the correct positions.
yeah, to be fair, the only thing I'd say with that is like the only thing with Bruno Fernandes is will you get an offer like that again for him? Which I can kind of understand if they did like want to cash in on that, only because like he's getting older. The older he
But would they
gets,
have invested it? They wouldn't have invested
look,
it correctly.
that's the only thing, right? That's the other thing. They wouldn't have invested it correctly. And second of all, the fact that they spent like I can't remember how much they spent on both Cunha and Mbuemo. I'm pretty sure it was like
Again, also that's sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. They
no, go
spent
for it.
like I believe they bought them both for like 65 mil.
Each.
So what,
Yeah.
130 mil on both
And then you got Sesko as well,
pounds.
that they spent like
They got Sesko
75
for
mil.
70 mil. So again, that's
You spent
200
like
mil
200
bang on the dot. Yeah.
This is my
Well,
point.
at least
200 mil.
around about.
This is look, and I think you know this, and a lot of fans might say this, but like 200 mil on 3 players is just stupid, especially when you didn't
Agreed.
cover the right. Like obviously I mentioned earlier in the video, the fact that you bought 2 cams. I know like one's technically wasn't a cam before he came in, whatever. But you bought 2 players to play cam when you already had your best player in the club who is a cam. I feel like, as much as like yes, Ruben Amorim never played him in the right position, I feel like he kind of was forced to always play Bruno Fernandes for starters. So then he had to try figure out a way, but then also forced to play these new signings for the money that you spent on them. So I feel like he felt forced that he had to play all these players at the same time, and probably just struggled finding a way to really make it work. Now I don't know how he could have made it work. Like I'm not a fucking manager. I'm not a fucking. I don't know what I do, but like I say, like that caused a problem. And I reckon if, like I said earlier, if you had just signed one and then kept Bruno at cam, God knows what could have happened. Like, and then maybe spent the money on, a Belieber or a Elliot Anderson or a Wharton, something like that, that could really help the team more. Because genuinely, you've been saying it for so long, since literally when you signed like Sancho and Varane and Ronaldo, that transfer window, how
Yeah.
much you've needed that player, like that profile of player in the
I
midfield.
mean, we had Casemiro, but I feel like if we had signed him one season earlier, honestly, that season, if we had signed Casemiro, we could have gone for the title, 100%, with the squad we had.
That's fair enough. But
yeah,
that's also probably a part of the poor recruitment, the fact that they never signed
exactly
a profile like that. And still haven't really signed a profile like that. Yeah, you said Casemiro, but again, first of all, the guy's pretty old. Lost his legs, realistically.
They signed him right at the end of his career. He had his best season
and they spent a lot of money on him as
at Man United. In his first year, where under Ten Hag,
really
we were really happy. We did really well that season. And you can say that, but that also comes from the fact you signed a player like that. Casemiro was our player of the year. Yeah. Or at least for me, he was. Do you know what I mean? He came in and made that impact. Player, yeah. But obviously, even the season after, you could see he's starting to slow down. Yeah. But that's what I mean. If you're able to sign a player of that caliber, like we were linked to Declan Rice as well. At the time, obviously, he made the right choice going to Arsenal. Obviously, right?
Yeah.
But a player like him, like let's say Adam Wharton, Elliot Anderson, Belieber. I'm not saying Belieber or any of those players are on Declan Rice's level. Of course not. But they can reach that. I see them being able to reach that level. But again, who knows? Yeah, that type of a player who come in who needed that step up. Who, when you talk about players that need to step up, I mean, Cunha is one who probably deserved to step up and deserved to go to a bigger club. You saw how well he did for Wolves. And obviously they were in the relegation scrap for a long time, but they went on a really good run. And he was a major part of that. And even Mbuemo, like he was great for Brentford, but he had that potential to go to another level. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
To a big club. Yeah. And he's doing okay so far for Man United. And the same with Cunha. But obviously it does take time to embed in a club like this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously we know United's also a difficult place for players to go, and it seems like a graveyard.
They call it the graveyard.
Yeah, literally, that's what I was about to say. It just seems like a graveyard for a lot of players, unfortunately, and for talent in general, which is kind of sad. It's always sad to see when a player goes to Man United and just completely falls off. I think another aspect to why that usually happens, and this isn't really to do with ownership, it's more the fan base. I think genuinely might be one of the most toxic fan bases I've ever seen when it comes to towards their own player. I mean, even just not even towards their own player, but towards the manager themselves. Like, bro, the amount of fans. I want to say, Saeed TV. I'm talking to him because when Ruben Amorim came in, I'm sure, like, I'm pretty sure he was like, very happy with this, with the appointment, this and that. And then the second it just goes to shit, absolutely no support for him. When they know the problem isn't the manager, when they know the problem isn't the manager, isn't just him, to be fair, isn't just him. A lot of fans
Have you
are
noticed
happy that
all
he's
the
gone.
ones that say
Yet they
that are
don't
the ones that get
realize.
the clicks?
Of course,
They're the
my
ones
point
who get the
is,
most views.
look, sometimes I feel like they're just doing it on purpose. But I just see a lot of fans in comments, so they're obviously not doing it for the clicks. But they're just brain dead. Like, the problem isn't the manager. How many managers have you gone to and you still can't realize the manager's not the problem? Look, of course, if the results aren't going well, it's hard to really get behind the manager. But when you know the manager isn't the problem, you need to get behind him to at least, help, the players' confidence, the manager's confidence, this and that, and really target the problem, which is the ownership. And I know, to be fair, there's been protests, really big protests at United against the ownership.
They're planning to
so
do
that's
more
fair
too.
enough. But you need to target. Look, I don't want to say you need to target more, because I understand that they are targeting the ownership and they've for years done it. But I think with this ownership at United and even at Chelsea now, I mean, Chelsea's one is very unfortunate. Why? Because obviously Abramovich was made to sell the club
Right.
due to political reasons. It wasn't even his choice, really, was it? He got forced to sell the club, which is very unfortunate for Chelsea fans, because if you want to say it, you can't deny he was you know what I mean. Under him, they were, a powerhouse. I mean, they were winning trophies pretty much every season, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a pretty unfortunate situation, because obviously United's a bit different. They've been there for decades now, but they've just been
Yeah.
awful ever since they've come in. And
Chelsea,
I don't
the
think they'll let it
main
go, to be
problem
honest.
with Chelsea is just how they don't back their managers. I mean, it worked for them under Abramovich, right?
Yeah,
And because I felt like the backing was there. I know it was sort of again, the managers come in for just a short period of time. Like, I think the longest period of manager they've had in the Premier League was Mourinho the first time. And
yeah,
obviously that worked. I mean, Mourinho is just another level of manager.
he's a
This
special
special
one.
one. He is the special one, and you see what he did at United as well. Couldn't really do it at Tottenham. Not many managers can do it there. Anyway,
What do you mean? Bench
you see
post-Kobe?
how well he did. Even the second time with Chelsea, he won the league with them too.
Yeah,
So you know, it's hard for these clubs. They need that major manager. Do you know, that manager that is
yeah.
just on another level? But the problem is, there's not many of them,
Do you know what's so
and
funny
there
as
are
well with
so many.
Chelsea?
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. The new
that's right.
ownership came in and said they would start doing things differently, and they would actually, stick with the manager, because obviously it was Tuchel that came in. Sorry, that was there when they came in, and said
Sacked
they
him
were
straight
going to
on.
back him, and they literally sacked him straight away, pretty much, like after a month or two, which is
And then
crazy.
they
Like,
hired Graham Potter, which
oh,
was
oh, and then they've just done the exact same thing that they were doing under Abramovich, but even like in an even worse way, bro.
on a worse level. Yeah,
On
hundred
a
percent.
completely
Like
worse
they're
level.
not sacking the
Just
managers because they deserve to be sacked. They're sacking the manager because they feel like it. Because the
literally,
manager sees that they're not being backed correctly and there's a poor
bro.
relationship.
Look at
Maybe
Pochettino.
maybe Maresca. Now
Yeah,
I don't know what's going in the ins and outs of Chelsea Football Club, right? I don't know Maresca. I don't know the owners, but my feeling, Maresca is well educated in football. He was a
yeah,
great football player. He did a lot for Sevilla, and obviously, and he had his time at Manchester City as a coach too. So I'm sure his footballing
and Leicester
education
as
is
well, man.
tip top. Yeah, of course, Leicester as well. Yeah, he did very well with Leicester, won the league with them. But I'm sure, like I
Champions
said,
League.
I'm sure his education is tip top when it comes to football.
Yeah,
Now, when
agreed.
it comes to potential, well, the reason he got sacked was he didn't have a good relationship with the ownership and
Yeah,
the board and
fell
all
out.
that.
Yeah,
But that's because I feel like Maresca knows what he's talking about when it comes to these type of situations because he's seen it firsthand with Manchester City, with Leicester, and how they've improved. You know what I mean? Under him, right? But the backing isn't there. You know what I mean?
agreed.
Look, they didn't even sign him a centre back. They, like we
There's
said, they
no
signed
way he wanted
attackers.
Garnacho. There's no way in hell that man wanted Garnacho. I refuse to
Well, it
believe
doesn't
it.
matter if they didn't want Garnacho because again, it was they.
But that's my
I
point.
mean,
That's
I'm
on
only
the
happy
ownership.
because they gave us that money. Again, they did score 2 goals again today for Chelsea, but
But come on,
tappins,
spending.
mate, absolute tappins. Do you know what I mean? They're
But
just
even
dead,
like
mate. Absolutely.
the money could have just been spent on actual positions they
Yeah,
needed.
that 45 million you spent on Garnacho, or sorry, he shall not be named. We could
Literally.
maybe just bleep my name out. Do you know what I mean? His name out. Sorry. You could have spent that on a up and coming centre back, or a centre back that is maybe on the You know what I mean? I'm sure they could have bought a good centre back for £45 million for the
Easily,
price tag they bought. What's his name for? They could have bought a very good centre back that could have
hundred
done a
percent,
good job for Chelsea, or a
100%.
goalkeeper. They were going to
Yeah,
sign Mike Million, but they didn't do it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
They were very
Yeah.
close. I remember it with the Club World Cup. They were so close to doing it, and I don't know.
I
They
don't know what
backed that
happened
because
with
they
that.
said
Yeah.
they wanted to back Robert Sanchez.
Look,
Look what that's ended. Look, that's where it ended up with you now.
yeah, but
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, man. I
We can
just
discuss so much more. I don't know. Is there any other points we want to cover? Really?
no. I think we've pretty much covered it. You know, recruitment, how what poor recruitment can do to a team, what good recruitment can do to a team, and basically how the role of a manager has really changed over the years, and also how that role can really impact the team both negatively and positively. Obviously, talking about how Amram and Maresca were head coaches and not managers, and how that probably ultimately was the reason is a reason for why these managers at these clubs can't succeed. I mean, I was just going to mention quickly, Pochettino was starting to make it click before he got sacked at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Literally, I remember me and Carlos talking about going, you know what? I think he can do some good stuff with Chelsea now. He's doing really well, like towards the end of his tenure, and then just got sacked out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure it wasn't even. I don't even think the season was like it was over, and then they just sacked him, or at least it
Yeah,
was like
I think it was
towards the
near the end
very,
and they
very
sacked
end.
him. Yeah, it's because Cole. I remember Cole Palmer was on fire that season as well.
You know what I mean? And then they just sacked him. I remember we
And
were
you see, this is the
beyond
problem with the
surprised at that.
ownerships. You compare the good ones and the bad ones. You can
Yeah,
clearly see who's good and who's bad because of how they back their managers. Managers in football are the biggest thing. Players are very important, but even right, we're not we are a Premier League podcast. Hopefully, we can expand to other clubs. But let's look at someone like a Real Madrid and a
oh yeah,
Barcelona. Let's compare the two clubs. Right, Barca don't have much money, but they've backed Hansi Flick as much as they possibly can. Look at how well they're doing. Look at Real Madrid. Look at the egos. Look at how that's even got Xabi Alonso sacked. I mean, it's
yeah,
obviously kind of a completely different situation. Real Madrid are on another planet in comparison to most of the clubs. Maybe United's on the closest club to them in the Premier League. But when you have egos like that, managers or like egos even in the board or anything, you know what I
but
mean?
you
The
can't
manager is like the fall guy. Does that make sense? Which that
you
shouldn't be
can't
the case.
coach
They
that
should be
team.
the
You can
man
yeah,
who
you can't
decides
yeah.
what happens. Not players, not the board. The manager should be the man when it comes to the footballing side, controlling almost everything, especially with the
Yeah,
players he currently has.
Carlo Ancelotti was only successful because he just let the players do what they want. Essentially,
Yeah,
it's from what I've
yeah.
heard. He man managed them. That's what they need. Someone that just like manages the players, not the actual tactics. You get what I'm
Not
saying?
actually. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But or I coach them basically, not to coach them, but manage them instead. But anyway,
But again,
that's that. But yeah,
yeah, we were going on a bit of a tangent, you know.
yeah,
Like I said, hopefully in the future, because again, hopefully this time next year, or you know, the further and
further
more we
down the
go
line,
down the
yeah,
line, we can actually talk about more leagues, you know, more clubs and more situations. You know, there's so much to talk about in football. There's transfer news we can talk about. We can maybe do more frequent videos, but at the current moment, we're doing the best we can with you know the situations. I mean, the boys both have uni. They're hopefully going to finish up in the summer, so hopefully by that point we can increase the content, and hopefully, obviously, hopefully they graduate too. So wish them the best of
fingers
luck with
crossed.
that. And again, with me personally, I've got my coaching as well. I still need to find a job. It's kind of difficult to find that, but hopefully the content for that as well can come out too. So we've got a lot of content planned, and hopefully, you guys can be a major part of that. The fan base is growing. We are getting followers, so we really do thank you, especially the loyal ones who have been here since. Okay, yeah, we haven't got many, but since the beginning. But we really do appreciate you, and obviously for all the new followers as well. Thank you so much for coming in. And I just wanted to end the video on that note. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you have anything you want to add to that, Al?
not really. That was quite nice. I thought it was quite nice.
Yeah, well, it's from the heart, you know what I mean. But before we end the video and do the quiz for the next manager, we got to do our predictions for the Premier League because the Premier League's back this weekend, so that is
Yay,
nice to have.
flipping about
Not
time.
really,
I say that not really.
not for our clubs,
Yeah, not really.
not for our
But
clubs, anything at all.
yeah,
Right, so
We got Hassan.
What's the plan? Do you want to tell yours, and you want to say yours, and I say Hassan's, or what's the consensus?
I'll say Hassan's because usually he is after me in terms of the order.
It's up to you, because I've got mine and Hassan's in front of me at the same time.
So do I. Same. So
Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, I don't mind.
there you go. I'll do it just because he's usually after me anyway, so it's just easier. But if you want to just say the fixture, and then I'll say this.
Cool. So we'll start off with the game of the weekend. Big game for both clubs. The Manchester Derby. Manchester United versus Manchester City. Michael Carrick's first game. What are we thinking?
I got 3-1 City, and Hassan's got 3-1 City.
I've also got 3-1 City. Not optimistic with this game.
No.
Let's go on to Chelsea and Brentford.
I've gone 3-1 Brentford. Hassan's gone 1-1.
I've gone 2-1 Brentford. Leeds versus Fulham.
I've gone Leeds 2-1. And Hassan's gone Leeds 2-1.
Also gone Leeds 2-1. Liverpool versus Burnley.
I've gone 2-0. Hassan's gone 2-1.
I've gone 3-0. Yeah, I don't think anybody expects Burnley to win. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Sunderland versus Crystal Palace.
I've gone 3-0 Sunderland. And Hassan's gone 3-1 Sunderland.
I've gone 3-1 Sunderland as well. Tottenham versus West Ham.
I've gone 2-1 Tottenham. And so has Hassan.
I'm always optimistic with West Ham because I feel like both teams are just poor. So I've gone with 1-1, especially with Tottenham's home form. You know what I mean? It seems like a game that could finish as a draw. Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal.
I've gone 4-1 Arsenal, whereas Hassan's gone 2-1 Arsenal.
Oh, 3-1 Arsenal. Wolves versus Newcastle.
I've gone 2-1 Newcastle. Hassan's gone 2-0 Newcastle.
On 1-1 draw. I'm actually going to back Wolves here. They're on a decent vein of form. They haven't lost this year. Can they keep it up? I'm actually interested to see that, to be honest. Aston Villa versus Everton.
I've gone 3-1 Villa. And, I've gone 3-0 Villa. Hassan's gone 3-1 Villa. My bad.
I've gone 2-0 Villa. Brighton versus... I'm going to stop the accent. Brighton versus Bournemouth.
I've gone 2-1 Brighton. And Hassan's gone 2-0 Brighton.
I've gone 2-0 Brighton as well. And that is the predictions done, guys. Leave your predictions in the comments below. Do you agree with us? And obviously, we'd love to see what you guys have as well. But what is the quiz, Al, if you don't mind?
Yes, let's start with the first fact. He represented England at youth level before switching international allegiance and later playing senior international football for another country. The second fact, he began his Premier League career with Wigan Athletic and was part of the team that won the 2013 FA Cup, the club's first major trophy. The third fact, he reinvented himself as a right wing-back during a title-winning season after previously being known as a winger. Fourth fact, he won the Premier League under Antonio Conte, thriving in a 3-4-3 system. And fifth and final fact, he is a Nigerian international who played in the Premier League for Chelsea, Liverpool, and West Ham. Now let us know in the comments down below if you know who that is, and of course, we'll reveal him in the next episode.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for coming in again. You guys are very important to us, and like you said, if you guys have any other comments you want to make on the video, please leave them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, because I'm sure there'll be a couple more gaps here and there for the coming, game weeks where there isn't Premier League going on. So again, see what you guys think we should do in those moments. But thank you guys for coming in. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when we upload videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Take care.